Alright, listen, before you start flaming me, PC is not my main platform. Now, let's get into the real reason that we're here. Rainbow Six Siege has been around for almost 10 years now, and it's still one of the most unique shooters out there. And the reason I say that it's unique because all the shooters that most of us grew up on, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Counter-Strike, they're all great in their own ways, but none of them really play anything like Siege. Now, obviously, everyone can have their own debate over which game is better, but ultimately, we can all come to the agreement that Siege is unique. Even in games like CSGO, which is probably the closest one that lines up to Siege, it still plays differently. Yes, it's tactical and headshots matter, but it's a 5v5 on a flat map. There's a lot of predictable angles and limited destruction. It's just pure aim and discipline, not environmental strategy like Siege plays. Now let's get into the real reason that you're watching this video. To understand the problems that Siege face today, you have to understand what kind of game it really is. Now obviously if you're new, you don't really understand how the game works, but if you've been playing for the 10 years that it's been out, you obviously know how the game works. But ultimately, Siege isn't just a simple run and gun shooter, it's tactical, it's a destruction heavy FPS built on extreme precise mechanics, such as one-shot headshots, tight recoil control, destructible walls and floors, lean peeking, and audio-based tracking. Now obviously there's so much more, but the reason I bring that up and the reason that I say that Siege is a unique game is because every small advantage, even the tiniest of ones, can completely shift around. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because it's the reason that it's easily noticed. You see a recoil script, a macro, or an input exploit, it just isn't a small boost. In Siege, it's the difference between winning or losing an entire match. So let's start off by talking about the current state of Rainbow Six. Because whether you're on PC or console, you've probably noticed that the game feels a lot different lately. And I'm not saying that because of the new update of Defenders getting ACOGs taken away. I'm talking about the reality of Siege right now, that is going through one of the roughest eras in years. A lot of people feel the game is harder to enjoy, and a big part of that comes down to consistency and fairness. On PC, cheating is at the center of almost every conversation. We have macros, recoil scripts, soft aim, ESP. Even if you don't run into it every match, the perception alone changes how people play and think. And for a game with one-shot headshots, even the tiniest macro giving 5% less recoil is a massive advantage. It ultimately turns into a game of who has the cleaner script contest. Then we see many games ultimately ending up in what we call a white knight cheating scenario, where people think cheating will prevent cheating. A lot of PC players forget about the console people that are also struggling with the cheaters. Now for the console people, it works a little differently because we don't see walls as much. What the console people, however, do see is spoof devices like a Zim or Cronus, even a Game Pack. Now what these spoofing devices do is it allows a mouse and keyboard to go undetected and be detected as a controller. Siege prides themselves at being the only game to not have aim assist for anybody. No controllers, no mouse and keyboards. Just raw analog input. Now because Siege is a zero aim assist game, legit controller players have a huge disadvantage. They're fighting against raw thumbsticks with mouse accuracy. Having said all this, there are many cheats that I have not talked about or discussed. As we see many content creators such as Varsay Gaming, YoBoy Priest, Jinxie, all these creators that have developed a career off of Rainbow Six Siege are now starting to stray away, take breaks, or switch games. Content creators rely on a consistent gameplay to make videos, but when every match feels suspicious or when the competitive integrity drops, it becomes exhausting. Even just as a casual player that doesn't have a career out of this, you just want to play games with the boys or even just kick back and relax. You can't do that due to the cheating of the game. Now this isn't to say that Siege is a bad game, this isn't what this video is about. It's to say that Siege has an experience around the game that becomes inconsistent, that makes people not want to play it. Now, controversial to what other people have said, this doesn't mean that Siege is dead. There are still creators making content, there are still pros competing, and there are still casual players having fun. Siege is still one of the deepest tactical FPS experiences that has ever been created, and that is exactly why people care so much when things go wrong. Creators aren't leaving because they hate Siege, they're leaving because they love it, and it's tough to watch the game struggle. A big part of why these issues are now getting attention is because creators, streamers, and casual players have been honest about what they're seeing. It's not trying to clip farm or it's not trying to gain personal wealth because of it, but it's to help the community understand what is happening and to push for improvements. And the best part about all of this is that the community's voice has always played a huge role in this change. As we see, casual people and creators help push for Operation Health years ago. They helped spotlight the old bugs, and they're doing the same now with the cheating and the competitive balance. Another thing to talk about too, and saying this respectfully, is the feeling of false promises over the years. As we know, Siege is a complicated game, and the developers have absolutely tried to improve things. But as a community, we've also heard a lot of promises that either took years to deliver or never truly lived up to what we expected. Whether you've been playing for a month or 10 years, people always remember when Ubisoft promised a stronger anti-cheat. But to be fair, some of those things have improved, but other times they've taken far longer than other players had hoped for or didn't have the impact that people wanted. And like all things in life, if we're promised something and it is not delivered, obviously we have an issue with it. And honestly, the frustration is understandable. Siege is a game that people care deeply about. Most players complaining aren't trying to tear the game down, they're trying to save a game that they love. You know, when you invest thousands of hours into a tactical shooter, when you learn every angle, when you learn every recoil pattern and every map rework, you want to feel like the game is being protected with the same passion that you put into it. I think it's also important to say this. I don't think the devs are intentionally lying about this. I think Siege is just an extremely hard game to maintain. You know, it's a big FPS with destruction, vertical wall play, crossplay, and one-shot headshots. So obviously there's going to be struggles with balancing the game and the security aspect of it. But I also understand the community perspective after hearing we're improving anti-cheat for the 50 millionth time and obviously still running into a lot of cheaters or spoofed inputs. It's natural to feel let down by Ubisoft. So no, the community isn't angry for no reason. They're not expecting perfection. They just want honesty, transparency, and real improvements to the problems that we've had for years. Siege players aren't asking for miracles. They're asking for stability, fairness, and follow through because this game means a lot to people. So as we wrap up and to answer the age-old question, is Siege dying? In my opinion, I would say no. There's still pros. There's still people making content and there's still new players. This game will forever be embedded in people's hearts. However, I do understand the community struggles and the reasons why people are raging at the game. Now, this is the first style of video I've ever done, so if you did enjoy the video, please let me know down in the comments. If you have improvements that I need to work on, let me know. I will always be considering your opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did find this helpful, or if you just sat here and watched some gameplay, either way, it helped me out a bunch, and I can't thank y'all enough. Stay blessed and stay true to yourselves. Peace.